Okay. It says we're live.
No, it doesn't. We're up?
Yeah,
we're live?
The little pink box is at the top.
Oh,
We're
well,
live.
sorry. It's not like, it's only, I don't know, how many times have we done this now?
I know. We should know.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to another Horological Happy Hour. I am Justin.
And I'm Rob. We're here in Boston at European Watch Company. And we are debuting a new feature. We've got the top down for the whole table. Let's see what we got.
There it is.
Whoa!
Nice.
Look at that.
Nice.
Look at that.
All right. While we're letting some people jump in here and join us, Rob, let's make this a happy hour.
Let's make it happy.
We're gonna celebrate, I guess. Well, not really dry January, huh? I guess for damp January.
It's not full on wet. It's just damp.
So, anyways, guys, thank you very much for joining us, Rob. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers to all of you out there.
It's good to see all you guys.
Absolutely.
Today, we decided to get a little spicy. We are going to be talking about overrated versus underrated watches. We asked you guys to hit us with, your thoughts, your takes. You guys gave us a lot of really good info, a lot of really good thoughts.
Yeah, there were some good things that are going to spur a lot of discussion, I think, which
definitely
is really good. And, we want to say that as we start this talking about overrated versus underrated watches, the watch market is a fickle beast. And I often talk about it as being a true democracy because it really is like the people's choice, right?
Especially on the secondary market where we live.
Right, because things are worth what people are willing to pay.
Yep.
And so when we look at this, we're looking at the watch market as this illogical, irrational beast. And it is, right?
Yeah, you're right.
It absolutely is, because you look at perpetual calendars that cost less than a steel time-only Patek.
We have a number on the table, yeah.
And so when we're looking at this, it's like we're talking about things, some of it will be from our perspective, some of it will be from a market perspective of like, this costs too much for what it is. This is undervalued for what it is.
Yeah.
And so we want to encourage lively discussion, but let's keep it polite. Let's keep it clean. Obviously, everybody's going to like something and everybody's not going to like something else.
Yeah.
So, all that stuff aside, this is just about how the market is looking at these watches and what watches do we feel like are maybe getting too much attention, and what watches are not getting enough attention.
But if you're feeling really spicy and you got something to say, disregard everything that Robert just said and throw it in the chat. I'll definitely call it out. Don't worry. So we're off and running. Gerardo Torres 25 saying Richard Mille super overrated. We'll come back to that.
For the price, he says.
I would disagree with that statement.
Me too.
But
we'll fight about it.
Yeah,
stay on,
happily,
Gerardo. Stay on. We're going to talk about it because I think both of us have pretty strong feelings about RM because it's something people talk to us a lot about.
Yeah. All right. Where are we going to start, Robert? What do you want to?
We got a big table. Are you implying that watch enthusiasts are fickle?
We are. Absolutely. We are watch enthusiasts, and our taste changes regularly.
It's actually really funny. If I think about when I first got into watches, which would be 07, 08, somewhere in there, I kind of actually started like getting into it and getting on the internet and discovering things beyond like Rolex and Tag Heuer, right?
Yeah.
Because they're the only ones who advertise.
Sure.
If I had the means to buy everything that I was interested in at the time, I would have made so many bad choices.
Oh my God, me too. We've said it a million times, but like working here, we're so lucky because we get to see all these things that we think we love, and 9 times out of 10, I personally realized this isn't as good as I hoped it would be, or it's not just right. So yeah. We're in a very lucky position. All right, so back at it, Robert. Where are we starting?
Let's go to the top down. Let's take a look at the cornucopia on this table because we've got everything, right?
We do.
We've got what's the cheapest on here? Probably the Blancpain, right? Because this is
I'll have to look it up, but
probably.
probably.
I'm off the view.
Actually,
this is like sub 10K.
So then we have this 116710 Rolex GMT, which I think is like 11. So these are probably the two. Grab those two.
So let's start at the bottom.
Okay.
Why don't we do that? Focus,
you got it.
There we are. 2 at once is difficult. I need more practice.
Yikes.
So we have here a Blancpain flyback chronograph. I believe this is a 2885. And we've got, there we go. tags are a wonderful thing.
They really are.
And we have a Rolex GMT. This is interesting because this was the first ceramic watch Rolex ever made. Underrated sleeper GMT for sure. I have to agree with Acosta Valdez there. I actually like this version. This was kind of like the one nobody really looked at.
Yep.
The all black. I like the little pop of green with the green seconds hand there and everything. It's very classic. But this is cool because this was the first ceramic bezeled watch from Rolex.
Right.
This was the first maxi case. Mm-hmm. This was kind of a big deal. And I think
Huge
in
deal.
terms of the bracelet, right, this was the first with the
Yep.
Easy Link and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I believe. If I'm wrong, feel free
you're
to
right.
correct
You're
me.
right.
But this was a great watch. And I remember when these were like $4,500.
Well, so, here, like we said, the Rolex is 11.9, I believe, and the Blancpain is 10.5. So, and, interesting cases on both of these. So the Rolex, this was actually suggested as a underrated piece, and someone also said that steel Rolex in general are overrated. And I think it's very easy to make both cases, argue both sides. Mm-hmm. But I think on this specific GMT, this is an absolutely underrated piece. You look at what other modern, within the last 10 year, roughly, Rolex GMTs are going for, and this is easily $5,000 less.
Right, because like compared to Batman,
Yeah.
which would be the
Or
most
or
direct
Pepsi.
correlation. I feel like the Pepsi though, because it's the new reference, the 1-2, right? Yeah, 1, 2, 6, 7, 10.
Yeah.
When you go to the Pepsi, it's a different watch at that point.
Okay.
Because it's a different reference. It came in at a different point.
Uh-huh.
Oh, and there you go. Hold on, go back. Compared to Batman, Pepsi, etc., definitely underrated.
Agreed.
I agree. And it's nice. It's got a great look to it. With the all black, it's a little more subtle. It's not going to hit you quite as hard as the Pepsi or the Batman. It's a lot subtler.
It kind of it threads an interesting middle ground in the Rolex, this price point of the Rolex lineup where it's not a sub. It's you have that added complication, that added functionality, but visually it doesn't jump out at you like a Batman or you can keep cutting me off all you want, buddy. I'm gonna keep on talking. Jeez. Go ahead. What the hell do you have to say about a Blancpain that's so important?
But we're in the same price point here.
Yes,
we're in the same price point.
They're,
and
they're the same.
This is the problem with Blancpain, is that here is a watch that I think is way better than the Rolex.
This isn't apples to apples though. You can't compare compare the two.
It's a steel sport watch of a sort. It doesn't have a bracelet, but it's a steel sport watch. Okay. It doesn't have a dual time. It has a chrono. We have a flyback chronograph with a big date in a case that really is not as thick as you would expect for something with that level of complication. Because if you compare it to like a datograph or something, this is downright skinny.
Sure.
We're talking Kate Moss over here. And you got screw down pushers, you got a screw down crown. This is stainless, right? Because they did this in titanium too.
I own that watch and I never want to own it again.
But there's an awful lot. Who's calling us ladies?
He's saying hello. You are very sensitive today. Keep talking. Keep talking. You cut me off and then you stop talking.
Okay, well.
God.
Well, so we're, what do you want to say? What do you got to say that's so important?
Nothing.
What could be so urgent?
Robert, I forget what I was. No. So I think. I don't think you can really make an apples to apples comparison with these two watches. I think the one thing they have in common, like we were saying, is they are both very underrated. I think the Blancpain is it's even more. That's all right. I don't really care. Stole your crusty. That's funny. The Blancpain in general is incredibly underrated as a brand. I think they don't get the attention that they deserve. The history, the amount of watchmaking that you get for the money. Just they're incredible pieces. And I think this specific piece, this Le Mans, is way, way underrated. You get so much watch for your money.
Also, only 50 pieces.
Really?
Out of 50 pieces.
I didn't realize this was a limited edition.
This is numbered, number XX out of 50.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Blancpain in general is a very small production.
Right.
They do not make a lot of watches.
You rarely see a Blancpain with
Thank you, Power Reserve watch. We love you.
You rarely see
You're
a
a wonderful
Blancpain
person.
with a triple-digit reference number.
Blancpain is the sleeper like Breguet. And you know what's funny? Oh, sorry. Go back. He said Blancpain is the sleeper like Breguet. I think there's something to do with the relationship of swatch group there.
David, go to the overhead, please.
The Blancpain to Breguet swatch group relation. And we have some Breguets on the table. We actually brought 3 Breguets with us for this very reason. The swatch group relationship there seems to hurt them, and I don't understand why. But I absolutely agree, again, with Acosta Valdez. I think we would be friends. BP, historically rich with top-notch watchmaking. Absolutely. This is a killer watch. Top shelf watchmaking. And my argument is that...
Oh, sorry.
My argument is that the Blancpain offers more than the Rolex in terms of what's inside, in terms of the pure watchmaking.
Okay.
Not looking at, like, you could make an argument that the Rolex is the tougher watch, right? And
of course it is.
Yeah, I mean, the Rolex is the tank, whereas in the Blancpain is the Italian sports car.
100%. I mean, going back to my flippant comment about the titanium version of this, the very similar titanium version of this piece that I owned, I absolutely loved the watch. It was incredible, but it spent way more time in service than it did on my wrist, unfortunately. It was just, sorry, what's up?
No, I was just saying, Breguet even better than Blancpain.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna let's move right on then. This is something that I think we've even said it, in previous weeks. We've talked about this. Breguet in general is criminally underrated. Yes. They have so much heritage, possibly more so than any other brand active today, and they make just absolutely gorgeous pieces, complicated, elegant, super classic pieces that are still relevant today, right now, and they sell at an absolute fraction of the price that they should be moving for. Yeah. I mean, prime example, Rob. So grab that Perpetual. I'm gonna pull up the info on that guy real quick. What number is that?
The Perpetual.
Yeah, we may have even talked about this one last week.
I think I saw something. Can you go back for our comments there for a second? What did I see? Oh, it was Hulk, root beer, or Pepsi for long term. I think you're fine with all 3, to be honest with you. Rolex is always going to be solid. The Hulks seem to be still doing really, really well.
They are, yeah.
Which is great. But they're all good.
Back to this Classique. So, Breguet Classique Perpetual. This is a reference 3050. I believe it's BA. Yellow gold from this one. Oh, so interestingly, this is full set. Box papers, cert dated 1987, which is super cool. I didn't realize this was interesting. Birth year watch.
87. 87.
Interesting. But I mean, it's a 36 mil case, classic Breguet case. It's over here. Classic Breguet case, 36 mil. It's only 8 millimeters thick, so it's super svelte, super thin. It's got gorgeous detailing. That coin edge on the case, which is a classic signature for for Breguets and for the Classique line specifically. So much information and so much detail in this dial, but it doesn't come across as busy or confusing or muddled at all.
It's super legible.
It's so great.
Super legible for a very complicated watch. There you go. Bangers.
Yeah, and then
I love the size.
Acosta Valdez also said that their technicality creating their guilloche dials are outstanding as well, and I agree. Their dials are beautiful. They use multiple different patterns, different techniques, and they mix them. They mix them incredibly. And even so we don't have one actually. I think in stock or even on the table. But their new Marines where they do the wave dials. They do the gold cases. If you're looking for a sport watch, a luxury sport watch that is not, I don't even know what to compare it to really. It's not it's not a Royal Oak. It's not an Aquanaut.
It's almost like a 50 fathoms. It's almost like a more wearable 50 fathoms.
A more elegant 50 fathoms.
It's that idea of like the dressy diver.
Yeah.
The titanium one is really fantastic.
Yeah.
Breguet tourbillons, outstanding. I agree 100%. I mean, the man invented the tourbillon.
Yeah, I was going to say,
obviously
talking about heritage.
No longer with us, R.I.P. But
R.I.P. He died in like 1786.
But But I mean, he did, right? And that's the funny thing is that the brand that carries his name and still makes watches in his tradition, like the next one we have sitting here, was based on a pocket watch that he had made. And you can find images of this pocket watch out there that have the power reserve and the moon phase and the pointer. I don't know if it's a pointer date. It might be a small second on that. But
On the Turb?
no, on the pocket watch that
sorry.
this watch came from.
I don't know, honestly.
And this is one of the older ones with the closed back, which is the same as the Perpetual, which to me actually is kind of nice. It feels like a vintage watch. I kind of like that. But to me, it's like there's nothing more elegant than this guy right here.
And then if you want to... sorry, go ahead.
It's just like, why? Why do people not realize that this is great? Is it too out of style? What do you guys think out there? Is this an old man watch?
Also, if I told you that this piece is listed on our website right now, this is for $14,900. That is so much watch for the money. It's so classic.
And
it's so elegant. This is full set as well. Let's look.
This is also full set, and I believe this has had 2 owners.
Yeah. Box papers from '95. Like it's an old man looking watch.
An old man. Well, then call me an old man.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. I agree with Andres, who says classique is timeless.
Andres is the man. He knows.
Never liked the lugs. That's an interesting kind of comment on that because obviously all the Breguets we have this same straight lug design.
But what is interesting with them is that because the case size itself is on the smaller side, it doesn't bother me because there are other. What's up? You and both of us.
I was going to say, you're right here with us, Greg. You can come sit in the middle because Justin and I are old at heart as well.
So Akil asking how much below retail. These watches are, one is from 95 and the other is from 87. So honestly, I have no idea what retail was back in the day and it almost doesn't even matter at this point. But again, so back to the lugs. So these, agreed, these lugs, this style usually does not work for me.
The straight lugs.
I need something that has more of a curve and hugs my wrist a little more. But when the case is 36 mil or, sometimes even smaller with Breguet or, 36 to 37 and a half, 38, those straight lugs don't bother me because they're not protruding off my wrist and they're actually still very comfortable. And the case is so thin.
They're short.
Yeah.
They're not super long. Sometimes you get watches where the lug length is really long.
Yes.
And for guys like you who have, I think, like a rounder wrist, those lugs end up protruding off the top. But Breguet keeps them short. I saw Power Reserve watch say they're a deal breaker. Why? The lugs. I'm curious as to why. Is it because they're too long and they overhang, or you just don't like that idea of
let us know. I'm interested.
The round case with the soldered lugs? Because that was back then that was all they did was the round case with the soldered lugs, and it wasn't until the reference 96, the first Calatrava from Patek, that we had
20-something?
A mono block middle case, where that middle case was machined out of one.
So Thomas Askus says just doesn't look good. So, it's totally personal preference. That's cool. There's plenty of other.
We can agree to disagree.
Yeah, that's fine.
But this jump hour.
Let me pull up the details on this guy.
Mamma mia!
This came in, and I was hot and bothered about this guy.
This is epic in my opinion.
I gotta find it real quick.
I mean, that is so good.
Let's see. Also,
interesting.
What's up?
So Power Reserve Watch says, to me, they don't contribute to the design. They seem an afterthought, and in some ways, they actually were.
But to be totally fair, like you were saying, that is a very classic method of case construction. You know what I mean? So I guess they've been an afterthought for 100+ years. I don't know. But so this jump hour, this is
a Saltarello or something, right?
This is Sautante. So it's a reference. A reference 3620. So incredibly rare. I love jump hours, and I really want to own one. I haven't found the right one yet.
How is this not the right one?
I don't know.
What's wrong with this?
So, compare with something like a pull rooter where the lugs are the star of the show. Interesting.
Star of the shoe.
Star of the shoe.
That's like bracelets to me. A lot of times the bracelet seems like an afterthought, right?
Sure.
And you'll hear from some of the best designers of watches. They'll say they designed the bracelet before they designed the case of the watch.
Yeah, that's fair.
Otherwise you won't be able to get it right.
Yeah.
I think the bracelet's harder to design too.
I totally agree.
I think case design in general is a really difficult thing in this modern era because we've got a lot of very homogenous cases out there. And actually, somebody made a really interesting point to me with Longa, where they said, one of the issues I have with Longa is that every watch is the same exact case.
Yes.
And it is, right? Everything is in that same kind of chunky, Germanic.
Yeah. They have an identity.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Everything is right, but it's like, this is it, and there it is, and that's it.
Except the Cabaret, but that's okay.
True, but they stopped making it.
I know.
The Cabaret in the arcade.
No, the Handwerkunst one. They still
did.
Make
They made one that's like
that.
$800 billion.
Yeah, whatever.
If you're there and you're one of 10 people.
KA Timepieces, Jump Hour King is a great follow. Good call. Super cool Instagram account if you guys are into jump hours as well. Let's see.
Oh man, so Longa fixed that with the Odysseus. True, that was a really big deal with Longa that they came out with this brand new case and a brand new bracelet and all that. That is,
and it is very, very divisive.
And it's a polarizing watch as well. We lost our
David,
close-up cam.
We lost a camera.
And then Bucherer Petravi. I can never remember how to say that.
Petravi.
Petravi. Petravi. That's much more exotic. I like that. GMT is underrated. I don't know the Bucherer brand very well.
I don't either,
we don't see many of them here, so it's not one I have too much experience with.
Oh, Spiros. Good call. He is saying that you are wrong. The Saxonia is clearly a different, smaller, thinner case. So, yeah, it's the same shape. It's round, but... Rob over here.
But hold on. It is the same basic case. Oh, you went to this one. It is the same basic case as this, even though this is much more complicated. The lugs have the same shape. You have the same kind of thing. It's not really...
I don't know what you're arguing, my friend, because any brand, there are very few brands that have multiple different shapes of cases that they produce at the same time for extended periods of time.
Somebody mentioned Patek 5227, which is very different than the Patek 5226.
I mean, Patek
which
is
is
obviously...
very different than the Patek 5320.
Patek is definitely the exception to the rule. They make... There's a whole range of different shapes that they make and have made for decades as well.
You could say the same thing about these folks.
I was just going to say, we have this piece in front of us, which I think we're both going to say is overrated.
Oh, spicy. Hot take, everybody.
It's an incredible piece. I understand why people want it. I would love to own one, but at the end of the day, it is a time-only piece. Like there's nothing beyond the materials used to create the watch. There's nothing inherently special about the Chrono Blue. What?
Thomas Kest didn't even hesitate.
Exactly. It is overpriced. It is overpriced for what it is. I understand why the market has decided that is what the price of this watch is, based on supply, based on the difficulty that goes into crafting this piece.
So that was going to be my argument here for this watch, is that yes, it's overpriced, but this is hard to make. Everything about this is hard to make.
Of course it is.
The dial is hard to make.
Yes.
Tantalum is a very difficult metal to work with.
Right, it is.
Even the movement, like working with the rose gold plates and like his architecture that he does with like sandwiching the running train in between the dial and the back plate. Everything about this is hard to make. I thought when this was a $20K watch at retail, it was underpriced.
Agreed. Oh, Gadzunte.
Excuse me. I'm allergic to tantalum.
Rob just blew out our producer's ears. Maybe block the mic next time, buddy.
I need a sneeze button or a cough button. Totally agreed. FPJ with time only should be under 50K.
Agreed. I mean, I'm not denigrating the quality of the watch, the amount of work that goes into it, the materials that are used, like the rarity. I agree with all of that, but like you're saying, maybe even, I might even go a little bit higher than you guys are on fire on the comments today. But I might even go a little bit higher than Henry did, at 50. I could see it being in the 50 to 60K range, but don't worry, George, we're getting there. You're jumping ahead, my friend. But at the price that it is currently trading for, I always play the game of, what else could I buy with that money, even just in the watch world?
So go to the top down for us real quick. And then I want to see what that one comment was. The specific Jordan piece, overrated. Prefer a Longa one or an 1815. And it's funny because there was a time when Longa one 1815 and like a Chrono Blue actually all existed at the same price point. It seems like another dimension at this point.
Yeah.
So
we're never going back.
We're looking at this table here. Hopefully you guys can see what we've got. We've got the Breguet.
Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it.
Don't
spoil it.
What am I spoiling?
You're going to just run through everything?
But I'm going to say, we have all these brands. We have all these different watches.
Yeah.
This is 90?
Yeah.
Ballpark it. This is 90.
Right around there.
This is under that. This is a jumping seconds from Longa that's less than 90.
So this was one that we both think is underrated.
This is a platinum automatic annual calendar flyback chronograph from none other than Patek Philippe. This is under 90K.
Dude, that's under 60K.
Well, we'll get there. I got a hill to die on with this watch. What else do we have? That's time only. And that's time only.
Yeah.
So isn't that interesting? And then we have a gold perpetual calendar
for 30,
full kit
for 30
from 1987. Half of you guys weren't even alive in 1987.
I might have to buy that watch.
You should.
I hope my wife's not watching.
Hold on, go back. I missed a comment.
I got it. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay. You can respond. But that's so far under 90. You know, you could buy a car with what's left.
No kidding.
Like,
for real.
It's ridiculous.
60K.
That's kind of my problem.
I might be able to get 2 of your car.
You could buy a lot of my car.
So Tom says the ultra thin Saxonia with that aventurine dial would be where he would go instead of the Journe.
That's a great alternative.
It's a great watch. It's a great alternative.
It doesn't starry blue.
It doesn't feel as. I love that watch. It definitely does not feel as special to me as the Chrono Blue does. It doesn't have the same, I don't know, vibe. It doesn't feel as special to me as this piece does. But I agree that's an awesome watch. That's a great piece.
I actually would agree with you there because there is something to this Journe. I've always liked this watch. There was a time when I wanted to own this watch. Too. I'm now priced out of it.
That day is come and gone at this point. But
it's, it is a very cool watch.
It is.
And I think it was tragically underpriced for a long time. When he discontinues it, though.
I don't know if he ever will.
Oh, he will. Absolutely. But he's another one. Not only is every case almost the same, but he only makes one size strap. Because everything is the same.
That.
It's all that.
It's the best.
I think it's 20 to 19 or something like that. And so you just have to order the color and if you need a long or whatever. Which is very cool. Where do you want to go?
I think we got to go where George is leading us here.
We can go there.
All right. So, like you said, George, we have a Tonda Chrono on the desk. Robert, show that bad boy off. And
I think this is a GMT or a calendar as well, right?
I don't know. I'll look it up. What's the number on it? I'll pull the details real quick while we talk.
EWC stock number 50510.
50510. Okay.
Ooh, Lang & Haney blows the FP Journe CB out of the water for a third of the price.
Wow, interesting. I don't like the design of the. I don't love the design of So Lang & Haney does that 3-pronged lug.
Yeah.
And it just, for whatever reason, I get why they do it. It's a distinctive feature. It definitely sets them apart.
Whoops.
Aesthetically, it doesn't work for me, but the movements that they create are absolutely stunning, absolutely beautiful pieces. And
did we have a Georg?
We had a Georg.
Right, the movement.
We had a few others as well.
Wow.
But honestly, Lang & Haney is also an underrated brand. I agree. It's not for me, but I do think that they are underrated. All right, back to the Tonda.
Thomas quickly asked, a date stuck between two numbers. What makes that happen? This watch was at 11:55. So it was just about to change, which is why I grabbed the crown and pushed it forward so that it switched to 13, and now you can see it's nice and centered.
So this is it's called the Parmigiani Tonda Chronograph GT.
It's fast.
Because it's so fast, super fast.
The date placement doesn't work. I think Long & Sohn would have something to say to you, W. and Den.
Yeah, but Longa does a better job where it's more pronounced. It's more of an actual feature. I don't know. I agree. The date does not work for me on this piece. Just big picture on Parmigiani. We kind of just grabbed this Tonda at random. you probably could have grabbed almost any Parmigiani beyond like maybe some of the really early pieces, the smaller,
like
more
the Tonda
classic
1950s.
Correct. Those are interesting to me. These new Tondas, I don't know if I'm just jaded because over the past 2 years, all I've heard is that Parmigiani is the next Jorn, and there's waiting lists for 2 years to get my piece, and oh my God, have you seen the new Parmigiani? Like I don't know. I haven't been able to get on board with it. I think there's just too much hype. It is a beautiful. They make beautiful watches.
It's a good watch.
They make great movements, but it does not deserve the hype that it has kind of garnered over the past 18 months or whatever.
What do you guys think of these? These are kind of out there.
They're interesting at least.
Because you've got like this whole side plate kind of thing. You've got a little teardrop shape here, and then actually the way the lugs interface with the pushers, I find quite nice. I think that's kind of cool that the pusher's kind of in the lug instead of on the case. It's kind of cool. To me, though, I dig those lugs. Cool. So you like it a little bit more artistic. Looks too much like the VC.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because that's what they were trying to do, right? They have the Tonda 1950, which is a dress watch of sorts. So they needed something to compete in that integrated sport watch category. And so they made these Tonda, the PF and the Tonda GTs and things like that. And I think the hard part is, what do you bring to the table? What do you say, this is what we're doing? Like with Vacheron, it was all about the bracelet and the strap and the Presto Changeo business, which is very, very cool and works really, really well. And then they did it with the blue dials, like the Jorn, which is super cool. My question, and I would ask this to anybody who seriously is like, Parmigiani is fantastic, is like, what did they bring to the table? What did they do that makes me want to buy that watch?
And actually that's a really good point. And we've talked about this before. I'm a huge proponent of buying whatever a company does best, whether it's a watch, a car, a refrigerator, like, I don't care. I want to buy the thing from the company that they are known for, that they do best. And you're kind of right. Like, what is the defining characteristic of a Parmigiani? What are they known for?
Right.
What is special? I don't really know.
I wonder if the brand hasn't been around long enough yet.
It's been around for 30 years. Since the 90s.
Yeah, I guess if you think about the old school Torex, I don't even think about that. It's almost like, to me, it's kind of like Roger Dubuis, where you have
a very like
the old school stuff,
and we have one like that on the table.
The modern stuff that's like so different. Yeah. Like it's a completely different company now.
Oh, George, but the gold one is actually a Panerai, so don't worry, we'll get to that as well. You're right. And that's kind of what I was saying, is those earlier pieces are what might be interesting to me, but I would never choose to spend my money on a Parmigiani. And again, like, if that's what speaks to you, that's amazing. I'm glad that there are, a wide variety of tastes out there, and that I want people to be passionate about, different things. It gets so boring when everybody just wants to talk about
Don't worry
AP.
about that then, he says. Oh, you cut me real deep, George.
Wow.
You cut me real deep. You know what? Maybe it's the case. Maybe it is the fact that there is some artistry in the case design, right? Because we have these interesting lugs that obviously are not the norm. We have a really kind of interesting bezel where you have a brushed coin edge, and then you have a high polished rim around the top. So you do actually get a really dynamic case between different surfaces, different levels. It feels very multi-level, kind of like the Patek's that they're doing with the stepped lugs and things like that. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's the reason you're like, man, I like this, because the case is a lot more interesting than the Vacheron, which we've seen the overseas now for 20, 30 years.
So it's funny just thinking about that, over the past, really from 2021 until now, there was all of this, there was so much more attention on watches, and, people trying to find, the next independent that no one else knew about or no one else had access to or whatever it was. And I think, really thinking about what happened, why Parmigiani is tainted for me, it's kind of because the reason to like this piece or to like Parmigiani in general, is because it is different. It is not, I don't even know what we compare it to, but it's not a Royal Oak. It's not, you know, it's not the 5960. It's not a GP Laureato, thank God. You know, it's not. It is very different, and it does have, you know, like you're saying, you know, it does have at least design-wise, aesthetically, it has a pretty distinct, you know, character.
The skeletons are kind of cool.
The skeletons are pretty cool.
Are pretty cool.
I think what happened was it was a independent brand that no one necessarily knew a lot about or had access to, and all of a sudden it felt like every single collector on the face of the planet was talking about Parmigiani and was talking about how long their wait lists were and how amazing their Tonda was. And, you know, I waited 18 months, I waited 2 years, you know, whatever it was. And I don't know, I kind of operate that way in life where, like, if everybody's going this way and telling me that something over here is great, if too many people are telling me that something is great, I am going to be a contrarian and just say, that's not for me then. And I think that's what happened with Parmigiani for me.
Yeah, I think also it's interesting to think about it in the time frame of when Parmigiani came up, because Parmigiani came up when you couldn't touch an AP.
Sure.
And you, at least Parmigiani, the sporty Tondas, not like the older stuff. Talking about when they started to really pick up steam.
Past 3 years.
It was when you couldn't touch an AP, you couldn't touch a Patek sport watch, you couldn't even touch the Vacherons, because the Vacheron 4500 blue was like 60 or 70.
It was crazy.
It
was crazy.
It was really
It was funny.
high.
So when we were pulling watches for this, you know, I opened the Vacheron drawer of our safe. And I was looking, and initially I thought, I should grab an overseas. Then I was like, you know what? It's no longer overrated, I would say, in the current market.
No, I think the price on that's really good.
Agreed.
Especially compared to these two.
Well, that's why, all right, so again, that's why I left that off, was because it feels it's neither underrated nor overrated. It's kind of just lives in that happy medium of being rated. It's
just rated.
Because you can get it, and because it's accessible now, that is where it should be. It's a great piece. It's a good piece. You know, I like them. I love them. But it's kind of just like a happy medium at this point, which I like. It's
so these two are going to be contentious, I feel like. These two are contentious because we're talking about one of our favorite brands with Patek Philippe. We're talking about one of, two of the three Trinity brands here. And watches with a lot of history, watches that served a really important purpose when they came out in the 70s, right? Trying to avert the quartz crisis. And, you know, it's a really interesting kind of full circle with both of these, because when these came out, one thing people said about both of them was like, wow, that's a lot of money for a steel watch. I think this one in particular, right?
Yeah.
Was like the most expensive.
It was.
Like
the most expensive steel watch ever produced.
Yeah, it was nuts. Yeah. And we have the jumbo here. For both of these would have been called the jumbo because at the time they were big. Now they're not so big, but at the time they would have been large. These are the best examples, I think, for these two watches in terms of like looking at it. We have the ultra thin 15.
It's a 15202,
right?
Yep.
This is a 15.
Yep.
And then we have the 5711, which is also, a lot of people are surprised at how thin this is.
And you know, again, not to throw shade at either of these two watches. Like, I'm sitting here wearing my Royal Oak. We love these pieces. But they just got so much ridiculous attention, and it was such like a game that people, you know, that the collecting community played, trying to get one, trying to find one, then flipping it and make, how much money did you make on it? You know, my dealer got me this, my dealer got me that. Like I feel like it burned us out, honestly.
A lot of that has gone away.
It has,
which is really nice. Is the 15202 thinner than the 15500? By a lot.
It is.
It's a thinner case, a thinner bracelet. The whole thing is thinner.
It's a totally different watch. Sorry, before we get too much further, Thomas, yes, I have heard of a 2000V, the Vacheron 2000V. Super rare. I think we've only had one ever. White gold Vacheron, white gold overseas with that gray dial, and I think like light blue accents or whatever. But super cool piece. I mean, I hope to see one again. We'll see. But sorry, going back.
Somebody said steel Patek with a suit is a flex.
Yes, it is.
I think steel Patek is a flex no matter what. I think
of course
you could
it is.
be wearing a bathing suit, with flip flops, and a Nautilus,
That'd be
and it's
awesome.
a flex. Man,
you got your Thonkini.
writing
right.
a
let's see
missive here.
So Power Reserve Watch says, I don't think it's on the table. What's your take on the new Angenour? Has it fit into the integrated bracelet landscape? So the Angenour, we just sold the new Aqua dial. They're actually great and again, for the money, super nice piece. It's the right size. The bracelet is nice and slim now. It tapers. It's got an interesting dial. Like, that's what IWC should be making.
Yeah.
That price point.
It's really good. It's the right size.
Yes, agreed.
It fits really well on the wrist. It was really good. I believe that ultra thin overseas was limited. I don't know if it was a 1 year limit or if it was
2000V.
Yeah.
It was. I don't think it was officially limited, like a hard production number.
So
but it was a very short period of time that.
But
it
was that was very small production. You won't they're really hard to find. They're really difficult.
Okay, so Spiro says, I believe you're talking about the Nautilus, but he's saying you can get so much more watch for the money for near $100,000, 5711 more, gold complications, etc. And he's right.
That's what we're talking about.
That's what we're saying.
And
that's what we were saying about the Chrono Blue. Again, it's very similarly, the Nautilus has incredible heritage. It's a iconic and interesting and different design. It's a steel Patek sport watch, like incredible piece, but at $120K,
yeah.
It's just like
you
can
also
buy so
have
much
to make
more.
the argument though that Patek only makes 20% of their annual production in steel.
Yes.
Right? So there is that exclusivity factor there, which is kind of cool, It's
Well,
the same reason people pay up for a Tiffany dial.
Of course. And I mean, I think like making our argument for us was, the Stern family coming out and saying, we're gonna step away from the Nautilus. We're gonna pump the brakes a little bit here. Things have gotten way too crazy, way too overheated. They made a lot of money doing it. They made all those crazy, the Tiffany dial, all that stuff.
But they didn't even make that much money because they're selling them for 20 or 30K a pop.
But I think it's interesting. So I think it's interesting.
Like...
I think it's interesting though for a brand to say our most popular model by far, it's gotten too crazy. Yeah. And we're gonna dial it back a little bit. We're gonna dial it back a little bit.
You gotta respect that.
Yeah,
you gotta respect that.
Yeah.
That is a cool move.
Lord Nantucket, thank you, buddy. Thanks for popping in. We appreciate it. Tom, 5212, by far the coolest steel Patek. I think you're right. Modern steel Patek. That's really cool. The 5935 now with the salmon dial, that world timer.
I'm with him though. I would go with the 50.
I would too. I'm just saying.
I would go with the
steals.
5212 because I think that's a great watch, and
that's going to be a good watch in the future as well.
It looks so good on other straps.
Yeah,
I don't like the brown it comes on, but if you put that on other things, it really sings. That's a beautiful watch.
Okay, so actually, while we're talking about the AP and the Nautilus as well, I want to get this comment real quick. So Acosta Valdez says, although both Trinity, I don't know what he means by that, but so do you think a GP Laureato or a Chopik Antarctique are great value for the lower price point while giving you a similar aesthetic?
So I would actually go for the IWC in that sense. I would say IWC Angenour. Like if you're looking for the...
Yes, I would as well.
The integrated...
David, we lost the main camera, my friend. Dave? Okay.
Well, if we're talking like you want something like this,
yep,
or you want something like this, and you're like, I really want that integrated bracelet aesthetic,
yep,
but, I don't have 6 figures to spend on a watch, I would say IWC Angenour, because I think they nailed it on that watch.
I think they nailed it as well.
I like IWC slightly better than GP.
I like IWC a lot better than GP.
I'm trying to be.
I know you're trying to be politically correct over here.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it civil. But I
don't want to pull any punches. Like, I get... GP has a place. I understand why people would gravitate towards it. It's not for me. And I think...
GP is a tragedy of poor leadership because they actually have a lot of history.
They do.
And they did a lot of great things for the watchmaking world. And there are watches in the catalog that are actually really good. And there's some really high-level stuff going on there. But they have no direction. Yeah. They're like Breitling 10 years ago. And they don't know what they're doing.
And Chopik, we don't really have a lot of experience with the brand. We actually just... Like, we're going to be listing the first one we've ever sold. And for a long time, we actually, again, kind of, even more, kind of similar to Parmigiani, but on even more so, it's this brand that kind of came out of nowhere and it burned so hot so fast,
Yeah.
where so many collectors were just so over the moon about it.
And again, it was when that Antarctique came out.
Correct.
It was when the integrated sports thing came out, because they were doing other stuff before that that didn't have the same traction.
Right. So I'm going to withhold judgment on Chopic for now. Here, Rob, you can show this one off. This is a wild one. Like, let me even pull up the details on it, because I don't even, I don't know. I don't have enough experience with the brand yet to really kind of pass judgment on it. We'll see kind of how it does in the long term. It's really only it's been around for, or in its current, formation or whatever. It's only been around for a short period of time. So this is the Rattrapante. Yeah,
This is the Antarctique, because it has that case and bracelet. Apologies for the fingerprints. There's a lot of shiny on this one. I'll do the best I can with the cloth. But this is pretty interesting. This is a pretty wild watch. And it was cool to kind of get one of these in our hands finally. Yeah. It's something I'm kind of interested to see how the community reacts when we put this guy up for sale, which will be pretty
it's
soon.
not on the site yet. I'm just trying to see if I can find like the details on MSRP and whatnot. So in our system, which I don't know if it's correct, we have 50K down, which I don't think is correct for this. But I don't know. We will.
That might be right, but I'm
really.
Not, I don't fully
I don't
know the deals on it.
Someone asked what GP was.
Gerard Perigo. Sorry, yeah, we're speaking in.
There's a couple things I saw flick by on the screen. Do you want to grab them?
I got them. So let's see.
Cool. Cool. Thanks.
So Winden set. Wow, really? So right around 60 then.
51.9.
Oh, 51.9. Yeah. Wow, that's lower than I thought. Okay. So Winden says. But the IWC, I believe you're talking about, the Ingenieur shares the same movement as a 3K Baume & Mercier or a half the price Mark 20. Does the IWC design justify the cost?
So I make the same argument here.
Yeah.
This is the same movement as a $20,000 Calatrava.
Right. Again, because
does that justify?
It's time and date. There's, you know what I mean? Like you get time, running seconds, and a date. Like there's, I don't know. It's.
We could talk round in circles all day with things like that.
Pieces like that are they're more than the sum of their parts. You know what I mean? If you part out anything, like it's not going to be worth. There's inherent value that is stored in other places than just the pure value of the components. Right. So I do think that IWC Ingenieur does deserve to sell for a premium over that Baume & Mercier over, whatever the other piece was.
The other argument I would make is that the movement, while it is like literally the beating heart of your watch, it is but one component.
Right.
And for some people, the engine that's under the hood doesn't really, that's not the whole story.
Hi, it's me. Hi, I don't care.
I think you and I are very aligned in that. I think you and I are very aligned because definitely. We appreciate good movement making, and there are times in a Paddock Perpetual, in a Breguet Perpetual, in this Longa jumping seconds, the movement is the star of the show.
Datograph, we've said it a million times.
Datograph. Yeah. But I think there are other watches like a 15202, a 5711 that people buy for the story.
Yep.
They buy for the romance. Yep. They buy for the case and the bracelet. They buy for the way it feels on the wrist.
The way it makes them feel.
It's the same thing with a car, right?
Yeah.
If you parted out a nice car, you don't get what that car is worth retail.
Right.
Right? Even if it's a crazy Porsche or something like that, that engine's not really worth
Porsche might be different.
That much.
Yeah.
When you look at one of the, those Porsches that go for $100K over retail or whatever, is that engine really worth that much in relationship to the rest of the car?
Right. I get what you're saying. If you part it out individually and sell it on individually, correct.
Yeah. So it's a good point. It's a really good point, and that's where you have to decide what matters to you.
Exactly. What we think, some people care about movements, other people don't. Marcio EM Jr. says Paddock fleet complications such as annual calendars, chronos, and Breguet pieces in general are the best quote value these days.
Yes.
And again, sliding scale, but I totally agree. Especially Breguet. God, come on. Again, perpetual calendar for $30,000. And saying that IWC are great watches, but the MSRPs have have gotten out of hand. I actually think it's not just an IWC problem. I think MSRPs in general over the past, really since the pandemic, have gone on the whole have gone crazy. You look at how much Longa MSRPs have increased over the past 3 years, and it's Jorn. It's crazy. Rolex is juicing their prices this year.
They're getting there.
And part of that obviously, follows the overall economic situation, inflation, all of those things. But I think overall MSRPs have gotten pretty wild.
Yeah, they're all higher. But then we are talking about the luxury watch industry as well. So there's a lot to unpack.
Where do we want to go? We only have 9 minutes left, which is crazy.
No kidding me.
This has been a lot of fun. But let's try and get a couple more in. What are our hottest takes left on the table? What's up? Okay. Yeah, you're right, David.
Top down it. Give us the table.
Give us the table.
The wide view there.
Go wide, David.
Go wide. So Panerai, all of you are sick of hearing me talk about Panerai. I really like a lot of what Panerai is doing now. This is a 42 millimeter gold submersible.
This watch is
tight.
Underrated.
Wow.
Underrated.
That's a lot coming from you, David, because you have seen all of the nicest stuff we have ever sold.
That's the nicest Panerai I've seen.
Okay, I see. It's super wearable. It's super cool looking. It gives you the same vibes as the Rolex Yachtmaster.
Yep.
I think it's actually. I might even take this over the Yachtmaster just because I'm a fool for Panerai.
So before we started filming, David and I were talking, and he was asking about this specific piece. And, it's the Luminor Submersible in rose gold, 42 millimeters, and it is amazing. And what we were saying, we were comparing it to a gold sub.
Right.
Because, essentially that's basically what you're getting. It's a dive watch, with a lot of heritage in a precious metal. And it's not quite half, but it's roughly half the price of an all gold sub.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And it's just, we have it listed
we're
for
$19,900 on that. Yeah.
Retail is $26,700, which is insane.
And you're $29,900 if you wanted to buy like the Yachtmaster Oyster Flex,
right? Yeah, exactly.
So you're talking about 10 grand less for actually arguably more gold. That thing's heavy. That thing is heavy.
It really is heavy. I was gonna say. Not that I need to see Panerai's fine movement here, but it's whatever. It's cool.
Yes, the submersible tritium is great too. I agree. Do it.
Oh, yeah. The Carbotechs are cool as well. I agree.
Rose gold looks good on Panerai. My people are here. My people.
The Paneristi have joined. But no, for real. So Panerai's in this 42 mil, case size, they're so underrated. It's finally a Panerai that you can wear regularly.
You can even wear it with a suit.
I can wear that with a suit.
I don't love this
strap.
I would say Panerai over a Rolex, but I think that's the first one I would ever pick over.
There you go. That's high
Look
praise.
At that.
Like, this is crazy.
Hot takes.
So.
All right, do one.
All right. I don't know. What do we have left here? All right. So I almost. Oh, that's pretty hot. Okay, fine.
It's hot, but it's also like I think everybody.
Okay, do the AP.
Oh my God!
A
Why
lot
am
of
I
people
being
would agree Daytona's overrated?
Thrown around here. I also think that the AP is probably it's a little bit of a trope at this point. But so Rob, show that guy off. So the Code 1159, it's almost cliche at this point that it's hated on. And this is a watch that you need to see in person before passing judgment on it, because it's really hard to capture the details. Even right now on Rob's wrist, it looks great, but you don't really get all of the details that come together in person and really just make for something special. So you have this wild case. So you have an octagonal mid case in a round watch with these sculptural lugs. You have a totally crazy double curved crystal on top. Then you have, yes, when they first came out, those flat dials were terrible. Now you get the nicer gradient ones, and this has a gorgeous guilloche dial, full guilloche, crazy texture.
There's the crystal in action.
There you go. It looks like a saddle almost.
You're messing with space-time when you look at this watch and you move it around like that.
And I think it's kind of easy, easy for people to hate on at this point because, again, it's become like a cliche that, oh, the Code 1159, that's garbage. Everybody hates that.
Right. But that's what you buy when you want a Royal Oak and you need to build your points.
And you can't afford it or
yeah.
you need to. Exactly. And let me just pull up details on this guy. Whoa. Whoa. I don't know about that.
I would too.
That is the hottest take of the night right there. There are two people in this room who would take a Code 1159 over a Royal Oak. I'm saying this.
That white gold burgundy. Yes.
That one's good. Anyways, this watch is $22,500 on our website right now. I think retail is a lot higher. Let me see.
Retail's no. This is the steel.
Steel, right? So retail is $26,800.
That's the white gold.
That is. Where is the?
This one's not far though. This one's like 23.5 or something like that. Because I was just looking at this the other day.
Anywho,
the track on it almost looks like diamond.
Oh, I found it.
Yeah.
Okay, so price on this is actually 23.7. Retail is 25.3. So like, honestly, I was just saying how MSRP has gone crazy, but like this piece feels in the hand on the wrist. It feels like much more. You're getting way more value than 23 or 25K.
Dr. Sean, if you haven't held one and tried it on, you don't know. You gotta try it. You gotta check it out. I'm serious.
The way the case back is curved, it feels better on your wrist than the other one. Like the way it hugs you.
The lugs are really, really nice.
Yeah. Everything is
it's
nice.
Cool. It's cool. So I would that is definitely underrated in my book. The other one that we were gonna say in the remaining 3 minutes is the Daytona. It's obviously it's an incredible piece. This is the old. This is the 116520 LN. Obviously, it's an incredible piece. I mean, it could be old. I don't know what the year on this one is, but anyways, incredible piece. It's like, the perfect wearable everyday chronograph in steel. You can do absolutely anything with it. It looks good with everything. It's got crazy heritage, crazy history, but the hype and the price for these is like, and the fact that Rolex has made as many as they possibly can. There are so many of these out there. You walk down the street or you go to certain restaurants, bars, whatever, and you look around and there are multiple dudes and sometimes women, which is actually cool when you see a lady wearing one of these, but there are multiple guys hanging out wearing a Daytona.
How do you feel about it at 30K though? Because it's 30K now.
I still think 30K is for me personally, this latest, the second to last generation that's too much money in my opinion. I would absolutely buy just a 16520, not even a Zenith, for way less than that.
I like the steel bezels better.
Yeah, me too.
But it's purely an aesthetic thing. I think they look better. Yeah, I don't know. I like it better at 30. It feels better at 30.
It does feel better than
it did
50.
At 50.
Yeah.
I remember at the height we listed one for 59.9. We didn't sell it, but that was because then it turned. Yeah. That was March, and then it was like,
yeah. See you later.
But yeah, so we have stuff on the table we didn't get to, which is kind of cool. I was gonna say Patek 5960p because it's a monster watch.
It is.
That's this guy here. We didn't get to that. We didn't get to this Chopard.
I wish we did actually. That would have been a good one.
It's an older Chopard, so it's kind of interesting.
This is a cool full set, rare with the white gold blue dial.
Yep.
That's the GMT.
I would have said a little bit
8-day power reserve, but no, that's under. Damn it, we had some good controversy. We didn't get to it. We didn't get to the JLC, the Master Perpetual Ultra Thin, which is a great piece, way undervalued.
The Long of the Dubuis. We had some good stuff on here, but maybe that's part 2. Maybe we gotta do this again. Let us know. Did you guys enjoy this? Do you want us to do it again?
David, go back to the main cam.
Looks like Panko liked it, which is good. Thank you, Panko. I think.
Yeah, we got to roll, but let us know what we missed out on actually, because like we said, we didn't even get to some of the stuff on the table here. So exactly. Don't wear a Daytona to a Red Bar meetup if you want to get ignored. That's hilarious, but very true. But let us know what we missed. Maybe we'll do a part 2 of this. This was fun. This was super easy to fill an hour.
Man. You guys have been great too. Thank you for being active and for participating. That makes it so much more fun for us.
Yes,
because
it does.
One of the reasons we do this is we want to connect with you and we want to connect with the community at large, because one of the things that makes watches so great is the community.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, neither of us would still be doing this if it wasn't for you guys and all the interesting clients we get to meet. So thank you again. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you again next week at the same time. Cheers, friends. See you later.